Hi, everyone. We'll give a minute or two for people to join. So go grab your glass of water, tea, coffee, whatever beverage fits the time of day where you are, and then we'll get started. A few more people are still coming in, so give them just a couple more seconds. All right. So again, hello everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, the VPS Profitability Playbook, where VPS margins go and how to get them back. This is a topic that I think many of you will find very relevant, and we have some fresh data and practical ideas to share with you. You'll be hearing from two CloudLinux speakers today, Liliana Quesada from Growth Marketing and myself, Akash Vaida from Product Marketing. A couple of housekeeping items before we dive in. The webinar is being recorded and we'll share the link in the follow-up email. If you have questions during the presentation, please use the Q&A functionality in Zoom to type in anytime during the session, and we'll address them at the very end where we have a dedicated Q&A session. What we'll cover today. We'll start with some fresh data from our 2026 hosting trends report to set the scene on where VPS stands right now. Then we'll dig into where VPS margins actually go, because there are some hidden factors that I think many underestimate. After that, we'll look at what the more profitable VPS providers have in common. And then finally, we'll get into the practical part, how the CloudLinux and Imunify360 VPS bundle works on both managed and unmanaged plans, how the economics work, and how to get started if you're interested. And of course, as I said, at the end, we'll have Q&A. Now, before we dive into the main content, we have a quick poll question to get a sense of who's in the room today. So let's bring up the poll, please. There you go. And the question is, which of your hosting offerings is the most profitable today? Is it shared hosting? Is it VPS, dedicated servers, managed VPS, or are you not sure? Go ahead and click your answer, and we'll give it a few seconds. Okay, I think that's enough, so we can close the poll and bring up the results. Okay, so it seems like VPS is already profitable and winning. That's good, and very, very relevant because this webinar is about VPS. So we're going to show you how you can increase profitability even more on those offerings. Let's close the results. All right. Thank you for the answers. And now to kick things off, I'll hand the mic over to Liliana, our growth marketer. Liliana, please take it away.
Perfect. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your time. As Akko said, we have really good relevant stats for this webinar. So you will find really interesting in here. So let's get into what we want to show today is what the data show us about where the VPS market and industry is going, who your customers are, and probably where the margins are going. It is a good news is that you said that VPS is already profitable for you, but we will have some ideas and some stats that can help you even to improve more your services. So just for a context, last year, end of last year, we ran a survey, hosting trends survey, in order to get relevant information in the hosting industry about challenges, industry in general, to understand the end customers and so on. So we got 446 answers of hosting providers, and we will see this information on some of these stats during this webinar. And after this webinar, you will receive as well the report that you might find really important and relevant for you. So when we asked them to these providers, what was your single biggest growth opportunity in the next 2 or 3 years? 26% answer VPS and dedicated server. And it might be a good match because you said that it makes you right now profitable as well. So 26% said that VPS dedicated server could be the goal for this year and the next 3 years. And what I'm sharing in here is that this was the top answer over share hosting that we know that could be good option for your end customers, cloud servers, and even managed WordPress hosting. So this is a good thing because it will show you a good opportunity because the market is moving in the right direction and it will fit to every single, let's say, size of market, even if you have 10 servers or up to 200 servers. So in the next slide, we have a question that we want to run in here because this whole webinar is based on, let's say, this question. So is the growth same than profit? Are you capturing the margin or just the volume? Because the question isn't whether BPS is growing. It is. The question is whether your BPS or even dedicated server business is as profitable as it should be. Because what we found in this survey or in these results is that most of the customers or most of the providers see the VPS as a growth opportunity, but most of them or is not where they see the margins going, right? So usually, yeah, it's profitable service, but if you don't manage really well and you don't get and you don't adapt and adjust the offers, the plans, and how you mark them, you might be losing some margins. And we will see what kind of factors might be not be helpful for you in terms of margin generation. So this question is what I wanted to explain in this webinar, because understanding why this gap is existing, the gap between the growth and profit, is the first step to close this gap. So in the next slide, I want you to take a look of this full picture of the market, because for us, it's really important to understand how is the market in terms of opportunities, how or where are your customers and what kind of customers you might have, and where are your challenges, right? So in this report, and as a result, we have that 65% report revenue growth in 2025. That's a good stat. 61% of the answer people are already offer BPS, so it's not a niche play. 42% say the new customer acquisition is the number one priority in 2026. So that means that they see demand and they see people in our customers around, because we will see the customer is changing a little bit. The customer that was used to have share hosting or look for hosting is changing because the technology and the industry and the trends are changing. And as we said, these customers or these providers see the number one opportunity is BPS or dedicated server as the top growth opportunity, all fleet size, right? So what I wanted to have as a conclusion in here is that this is not a strategy for large providers only. Whether you manage 10 servers or hundreds of servers, BPS is where providers across the board see the growth story, right? So what I wanted to see put in here is that the foundation is generally strong. Revenue is growing, the demand is in there, the customer is changing and moving to the right direction. And this is not a play that only makes sense at scales. It's a marketing opportunity in here. So in the next slide, regarding the new customers, regarding the customers, it's important to understand who is behind your plans, right? Because understanding who is your audience it will help. We will be really helpful for you in order to adjust the plans, adjust the offers, and also to understand how you can adapt your marketing strategy, right? So if we see here, 55% of the customers choose hosting based on speed and performance. This is the number one decision factor. 47% choose price, choose based on price, and 45% choose based on support quality. If you see in here, two of the three factors are not based on price, are based on experience. So what it says is that the end customer is not looking just hosting anymore. They're looking for solutions. They're looking for a partner, not just a server provider, because for them, strategic advice matters. What is important in here is, and we will see about this, you can assume that your end customer is expert, even if they have VPS or dedicated server. They might move to VPS or dedicated server because the size of the business, not because they know about these solutions per se, right? So if you see in here, the uptime is not longer enough. It's not just the only factor that they choose. So if you are starting in the hosting business, or you are already running a hosting business, requires a complete ecosystem of performance, security, and expertise. We have been seeing a lot of our own CloudLinux clients that one of the things that they look, because the end customer is looking at, is a mix and full stack of performance, security, and expertise. And mostly, if you have, or your strategy is focused on VPS and dedicated services, you need to know that, of course, customers have more complex setup and higher expectations. So you need to give this quality and valuable services for them. So in the next slide, what I wanted you to give is that in our experience with hosting providers, we have seen that you might have two main audiences that you can target, or it's important to target based on these changes that the customer has right? I'm not saying that it's just the only targets that you can target in your marketing strategy and sales strategy, but if you are running VPS and dedicated server, that might be your opportunity in here. The first one is e-commerce, right? So let's say these are running WooCommerce, they are going online stores, they already have custom cards. So the hosting is not just an IT idea or IT decision, is their revenue, is a business decision. So speed is non-negotiable for them. So they know that if the site goes down, or is is slow, they might lose some units in there, some sales. If they go down in like a really big season like Black Friday, you might lose a lot of revenue in there in really big season like Black Friday. And if the site got hacked, for instance, they might lose or have problems with the payment processor, right? So they want a partner who understands their business, not just their server. So they want a partner that understands that Black Friday is coming in 2 weeks. What do you need? How I can reinforce, how I can help you in order to prepare this security, your platform, your payment platforms. They want someone that help you that. And if something wrong happens, to that this partner can tell, this is what's happening right now, and this is what we have been doing for that, right? This is important. The commerce customers, they didn't upgrade, maybe because they need more RAM, but they upgraded because the business depends on it. They have really big services, they're really big platforms. They have money in there, they have payment platforms in there, so they need some other solution that might, for instance, share hosting won't fit in there. So they want that. And then here, what is your role as a hosting providers is that you need to be more you need to be more proactive, and you need to be a business partner, not cheaper, a business partner for nerds. So you need to guarantee value, performance, but most important, we know that you need to educate them, because probably they're not expert in this, right? And one more insight that we will see in the following slides is that You need to know that your real competition might not be just VPS customers, might be VPS hosting providers, sorry, might be SaaS platforms like Shopify and Wix, because they're moving. I don't want to handle everything, and if it's cheaper, better, right? So we will see for in the next slides for that. So the other customer or profile that we want to talk about is the agencies. I think that agencies could be this underrated audience. Not a lot of people focus or target them, but we have been seeing that agencies could be a good partners as well for hosting providers. Why? Because they're managing 10 plus 50 clients, and one branch affects every client. So for them, it's really important to have site isolation, for instance. They will need to have performance. Why? The difference between here and e-commerce is that if with what they if one problem had, they will have the same problem with all the clients. So they might lose the client forever. In e-commerce, they will lose the unit or the revenue in that moment that should be fixed right away, and maybe the client will come back. But in here, they will lose the relationship and the reputation with their clients. Believe me, I've been working in the past in agencies that manage websites, platforms, apps, and so on. And one of the main complaints of clients is the performance, is the speed, because they don't even know how should be the design, how should be the platform behind, and they have crazy ideas sometimes. And for instance, shared hosting won't fit in there. So that's why agencies sometimes prefer this kind of solutions, because shared hosting won't be aligned with their needs and the client's needs, right? So in here, it's important that the best agency customers are not shopping on price. They want a hosting partner as well who understand the agency model. They want to, and that's the other important thing, and here is the last point. They want the agency want tools that help provide more value to their clients. So yeah, hosting is the foundation of the service. They provide website solutions and so on, and design, but they are looking always to cross-sell and upsell. So if you're a hosting providers that have other digital service like SEO, design, AI, and so on, that will be really helpful for you, because you can have a good partnership in the agencies, and agencies can have all this. So they will be in charge of the relation with the clients, and you will be in charge of the execution. So it's a good partnership in there. They're not buying hosting, they're buying something that they can stake their client relationships on, right? So now we have let's see the other side of the picture in the other slide, the challenges. So we talk about the opportunities, the customers, and the challenges in here. What I wanted to focus in here is that we have asked to these providers, and 56% said that competing on price with the managed cloud providers is the biggest challenge for them. And I will link this with the third one, that is educating customers on the value of a managed VPS versus cheaper unmanaged options. So as we know, we are aware, if you already manage VPS and dedicated server, you know that unmanaged requires a lot of education, different marketing, different ways to approach these clients. And of course, it requires a lot of different strategies because of pricing. So, and the good news is that we will talk about these ideas and how you can manage this and how you can apply some ideas, whether you are managing on manage and manage, if this is your challenge, as this report said, right? And other challenges is the security risk. Of course, we know nowadays that they are looking for security and customer looking for security. And if you don't have the proper tools, you might be losing client revenue and reputation as well. And low profit margins is 30% as well. So I want to focus on these four because if one of them resonates for you, we will have some solutions for you in this webinar. In the next slide, I will just go quickly in this next slide because we have other challenges that are more operational. The other ones were more in pricing and revenue. These are more operational, as we say, which is the security challenges that creates the most operational overhead for your business. So one of them is customer running outdated vulnerable software. And we will see, because this could be also a reason that you might be losing revenue or margins in there. Because if you clients, especially they are managed, usually just go install a plugin and they forget about the plugin, they forget about update software, and you will receive at some point those tickets to update, and you will receive that, you will absorb that gap. So we will have different kind of security challenges. But in the next slide, what we want to see is that if we put it together, all the challenges, we will see that margin pressure from below. So price competition pushes your revenue down. Security incidents and performance tickets and operational complexity push your cost up. So yeah, you price competition push your revenue down because you maybe go down you go cheaper, or you might lose revenue because you might lose clients. But security incidents, you will have a lot of tickets, you will have operational things in there, so you might need more people, more tools, more training, so your cost will be up. So the gap in between is where your profit either remains the same, lives, or dies, right? So, and I know that this is one of the reality that you might be facing right now. So in the next slide, what I wanted to maybe put for more focusing here, and this is, let's say, like a little bit of details about what Akush will talk about in this webinar, is where the BPS margin actually go. What I'm really happy is that most of you said that your BPS are very profitable, but if they're not right now, and you want to improve them, you might need to have these kind of factors in mind, so you can be aware, because these factors or these leaks or these drains could be preventable and could be fixable. So if you're facing right now, this is for you. And if you're still not yet, keep it in mind so you can prevent these issues, right? So we identified in this report that 35% said that security incidents are the top support drain, and 35% said that performance issues are the top support drain as well. So what it means in here is that 70% are just for two categories. The 70%, they're in two categories: security incidents and performance issues. But they're largely preventable, and they are happening every day. So let's break a little bit these numbers, because maybe the 35% looks really kind of abstract. But imagine that you have two support staff and working 8 hours, right, per day. That's 60 hours of capacity, right? 35% is only 6 hours. So 6 hours a day, you might be losing in here to person. Focus on hacked sites, malware compromised accounts. So imagine, this is not like an exception. This is not something occasional. This is a routine. So you might be losing in there in terms of security incidents. And imagine if you have a managed plans, or most of your clients are having a managed plans, that could be even increased more. And the other performance issues is the same. For instance, we have heard my site is slow, something happens with my site, I don't know what it is. So it takes maybe 45 minutes of investigation and guessing the game, because probably you don't know. And again, if they have a managed, even worse, because you don't have these visibility tools. But if you have the tools properly, for instance, some problems should be fixed in 5 minutes, for instance, with PHP X-ray. So that's the other thing that you need to know and consider, right? And other kind of factors that will be not helpful for your margins is that, for instance, 53% of the interview people said that outdated software is the top security fit risk. Yeah, as I said, customers install plugins and then forget them. And you take all this vulnerability and you take all these issues, even if they don't have, for instance, support with you, right? They install plugins and then they forget, they don't update their software. And when plugin issues hits 40K size use, you will take these tickets, believe me. So that will happen, and sometimes even have PHP versions that are end of life, right? So you will take all these tickets and it will be again as endless circle that you need to provide information, investigation, you need more people and more tickets and so on. And that gives me idea for the next slide that is about unmanaged plans, right? And in the other slides, yep. Okay, yeah. So if you already managing unmanaged plans for VPS or dedicated server, you might know that of course these plans are priced for no software support, right? So, but support happens anyway. Customers choose a managed for price. And this is another mistake that probably you might be facing or some hosting providers facing. Oh, if they have dedicated server, if they have VPS, it's because they are expert, because they are big business. They are e-commerce, so they have engineers in there. No, probably I have an e-commerce and I know that I need something bigger and you recommend me this solution, but might be not expert on that, but I will just for price, right? Maybe they're not sysadmins. So in this case, they're not in the plan, they're not part of the software support, but you solve this gap anyway. You go and of course help them because you don't want to lose this relationship. But then the problem is to recover you because you might be losing again support people and so on. So again, we know that manage if you have a really good strategy in that, it will be a win-win, but you really need to know how to market, how to do, and how to deal without losing rent margins in there if you are managing unmanaged mostly. And as I said, 41% of customers are leaving for weeks Shopify or Squarespace. And that's a good thing. And that's a bad thing, right? Because again, if you have a managed customers, they will say, this is hard to manage. I can't do it. Or if you have managed customers, these are like, these things is losing, I'm losing revenue, the performance is bad, the speed bad. I have someone that could be cheaper and they will handle everything. And they have AI and so on. So I will go. So as I said, your main competition might not be just hosting providers at this point, should be this kind of platforms. So this is another thing that you might use in your marketing strategy and your audience segmentation and so on, and see what they are doing and how you can improve this, right? So managed customers are most at risk in here. And the last one that I need to mention in here is that when people or when the clients are moving from share to VPS, they will see a mess in there, right? They maybe won't see the good performance or the same performance that they had or the same tools that they have. So in this transition, it requires a lot of training, different tools, a lot of troubleshooting. The tickers are longer, and and that happens every single time, right? So if you prevent that, in order to how you can upsell these clients to share to VPS or manage to manage and so on, if you handle this path really well and you go and educate these clients and you prevent the time that it will require to train the team, to train the end customers and so on, that could be even fixable as well, right? So we have a lot of drains in there. We have support, performance, churn, unmanaged, and stack across share and VPS. So these are 4 or 5 drains that we can say that these are the main ones. But the good news is that every one of these drains is fixable, right? So, and that's why I will handle to Akash, because Akash will have good ideas, good strategies, and good tactics that you can apply and solutions that we have for you for today. So thank you, and Akash, all yours.
Thank you, Liliana. Very useful insights indeed and stats from the report. So then the next obvious question is that knowing all this, how can hosting providers improve their VPS profitability? What do the more profitable VPS providers do differently? And how we as Cloud Linux can help you get there. So the hosting trend report gives us some clues on this as well. We asked a question about VPS differentiation, and what we see there is that the most popular strategy is offering a fully managed service at 29%. The second one is superior support at 22%, and pay attention that only 14% said that they compete primarily on price. So the takeaway is that the majority of providers want to compete on value in some sense, and they are looking for the right way to deliver on that. Here's another interesting clue on automation from the report. 84% of providers rate automation and set it and forget it capability as important when choosing new server software. So that's 4 or 5 on this scale. And that means tools that work in the background so providers can focus on running their business. Keep this in mind as well for the upcoming slides. Now, we've spoken with a number of hosting providers who have already adopted our VPS bundle and improved their VPS offering with it. And there's a very clear pattern that we have seen. For one, every single one of them already run either CloudLinux or Imunify360 or both of them on shared hosting. They knew the products, the teams were trained on them, the products were part of their automation and processes. When they looked at VPS, instead of using a different stack or building a different stack, they decided to extend what already worked. It was a natural next step for them. And several of them told us that they even launched managed VPS plans for the first time specifically because our VPS bundle made it economically viable. So there's a playbook here, and this is why we came up with the idea to do this webinar in the first place, because the providers who have improved their VPS profitability aren't doing something wildly new or exotic. They are doing something obvious, which is extending what already works. So let's get specific about what this looks like for VPS and how we help as CloudLinux. So first of all, what is the CloudLinux VPS bundle? It's CloudLinux and Imunify360 together at up to 55% off standard pricing. This is a program that's available only for hosting provider partners. And the discount is compared to buying these software solutions separately. Very importantly, it's not a different product or a separate version. These are the exact same tools that many of you already run on shared hosting. So all the same features, all the same capabilities. The only thing that changes is the licensing and the price. And the price is actually a better price. And this bundling in itself already has some benefits since you're dealing with just one vendor, you have one support channel to go through, and one licensing structure. So there is no tool sprawl, there's no vendor sprawl. Now, as I said, I'm certain that some of you already use CloudLinux on your servers and some of you already use Imunify360 to protect your customers. Now, let's get everyone on the same page on what the benefits of using these products are. And I'm going to now do this through the lens of specifically for VPS and dedicated servers. Starting off with CloudLinux. It's our foundational product that gives hosting providers essential tools to run stable, fast, and secure web servers. On VPS, there are really two groups of benefits to highlight. And the first one is the continuity from shared to VPS, which is something that Liliana already mentioned that some hosting providers struggle with this transition. And what I mean here is that you can have and offer to your customers the same software stack on both of your shared hosting and VPS plans. What this does is it makes it easier for you as a hoster to provision and manage your servers, to train your staff, and to run support for your customers. At the same time, you can also provide the same feature set to your customers that they already got used to on shared and rightfully so expect to have them on higher cost VPS plans as well. This is especially important for that customer segment who upgrades from shared to VPS because there they might have been used to features and tools like our selectors to select the right PHP version for their sites or the protection provided by hardened PHP to protect older versions that are by now end of life, and we still provide security updates for them. Then another interesting use case in this group is agencies and developers. This customer segments run multiple sites for multiple customers on VPS and dedicated servers. So for them, the same isolation and resource management technology that you use to segment off tenants on shared servers is equally as useful to isolate their agency and their developer customers. In some sense, they are running their mini shared hosting servers on these VPSs. So the features we have here in this category are KHFS and LVE, and these are used to fully isolate hosting accounts and set resource limits on those hosting accounts. And now we have a new feature as well in this category called website isolation. And this extends the capabilities of LV and KHFS from the account level down to the individual website level. So if, for example, an agency runs 10 client sites under one account on a VPS, each website gets its own isolated environment, not just at the account level, which was the case previously. So in such a scenario, one compromised site cannot touch the others. If there's a traffic spike on one site, it will not impact the others. This feature is currently rolling out in phases, and it's particularly valuable for the agency use case, which, as we all know, a big part of the VPS market. Then the other group of benefits to mention related to Cloud Linux is performance and speed. Because over the years, we've been adding more and more capabilities in this area. And our goal is to help customers on the one end continuously monitor their website performance and to figure out exactly where the bottleneck is if a site appears slow. And for this one, we have PHP X-Ray, which is a tool that you can use to figure out if the issue is with the database, is it with a plugin, is it some customization, and you can do so much quicker than with other methods. The other part of the equation here is that we also help with improving speed and performance. We do that on the one hand with Accelerated WP, which is our WordPress optimization suite. It has full site page caching, it has asset optimization, CDN, and many, many more features. I'm not going to list all of them. And we have also recently released Max Cache, which is available as native modules for both Apache and Nginx. And what this does is it serves cached WordPress pages directly from the web server while it completely bypasses PHP. And that was traditionally the first bottleneck that slowed the page loads down. So in our internal tests, what we are seeing with Max Cache is it's giving like a 2-3x improvements in requests per second and time to first byte for cached PHP pages. And it's actually even a bit better for Nginx because it's more efficient by default when we remove this PHP bottleneck that happens on every request without Max Cache. So take a look and try out these new features if you haven't already. They are part of Cloud Linux subscription, so no extra cost whatsoever. Very useful, as I said, in the VPS use case, and they're also useful in shared. So if you're running Cloud Linux on shared servers, go and enable these on your shared servers as well. Now, moving on to Imunify360. This is our automated multi-layered security platform for Linux web servers. Here, we are delivering the core value of the protection in the form of 6 integrated security layers. What are the layers? It all starts with a network firewall at the outermost perimeter, where our unique advantage over and above every other security solution is that we have more than 62 million domains in our defense network where we collect threat data. And it means that when we see an offending IP in any one of those domains, we can immediately roll it out and protect all other Imunify customers against it. And this is a huge difference compared to a hoster with an in-house firewall setup who can only see what's happening to their servers. And while network firewalls are essential to manage and block IPs, they cannot protect against the attacks that directly target applications like WordPress and the plugin ecosystem. For those types of attacks, we need a web application firewall, and we have it in Imunify 360. And here the same network effect applies. So the more attacks we know about through the threat intelligence network, the better WAF we can provide to our customers. Then there's one more layer that deals with web traffic, and it's our unique Web Shield technology. And this helps with filtering and blocking all the bots, all the scrapers, which is becoming more and more important with AI scrapers just swarming the internet. And it helps with mitigating DOS attacks as much as possible on a single server. To give you a clear idea what this is and how it works, I'm sure you have all seen those CAPTCHA pages where you have to select all the motorcycles or all the traffic lights. Those have a similar purpose. Our Web Shield is like that, but it works much better because we do it in a way where we don't annoy the hell out of website visitors. It's completely invisible to them. Next, moving on to deeper layers on the server, we have a powerful malware scanner built into Imunify 360 that can scan files, databases, and even cron tabs to make sure when an attacker finds a way in, they cannot hide anywhere. We completely eradicate them and we stop the reinfection cycle. And while malware scanners are excellent against known malware, they are they have a harder time against zero-day attacks and the zero-day threats, which again becoming more and more of an issue because AI now allows uh, bad actors to wipe code new threats and new variants of existing malware very, very quickly and very, very easily. Not exactly for this, because we had this for quite a while in our solution, but we have built a signature proactive security defense layer specifically against zero-day threats way before this AI boom. What this does is is a completely unique technology in Imunify 360 because it analyzes the running PHP code during execution and figures out based on the behavior of the code what it's trying to do, whether this is okay, it's normal code, I can let it run, or it's something completely new type of threat, and in that case, it can instantly block it before that code can do harm. Finally, the last layer is a foundational server protection element that we have in Imunify 360. It's our intrusion prevention system, which continuously monitors all server logs across all services, including things like SSH and FTP. And for example, if it sees that somebody's trying to brute force their way into an FTP account by guessing the password, this is the layer that blocks it. So we provide all this security, and you might think that, oh, it must be hell of a job to manage all these layers, right? Well, not really, because we know and the report has confirmed that automation is very, very important. And because of this, our approach for many, many years have been to security is to automate and offload all that work as much as possible from you and have our security team of experts deal with it. So that's the second pillar of our Immunify 360 philosophy is automated defense. So what are the things that we automate and how do we do that? First off is zero-day protection. When proactive defense is running in a so-called kill mode, it does not require any human intervention. When it finds new threats, it automatically blocks them. Same is true for malware scanning and cleanup. You set it up, it runs in a schedule. When it finds something, it does the cleanup automatically with surgical precision. Uh, Original functionality of the site is preserved, fully automated. Then, as I mentioned, the threat intelligence coming from the 62 million domains in our network, our team turns all the data into constantly updated firewall rules and malware signatures. So you don't have to do anything. You don't have to have an in-house security team of analysts to keep just up to date with all the new malware strains and all the new attacks that are happening. We keep the layers updated and of course give you the ability to add custom firewall rules as you need them. But the built-in rule set, and this is the main idea, that the built-in rule set coming right out of the box already provides comprehensive protection. Finally, this last one is a really clever one that I like to include because it demonstrates how we can make smart responses when we have multiple layers integrated. And that's the other key benefit I would say to Immunify 360 is that we take this defense in depth approach. So let's say our system detects that a user logged in and soon after malware is found. So in this case, Immunify 360 not only removes the malware, but recognizes that, okay, most likely those user credentials were compromised. And then it can reset the WordPress password. It can reset the cPanel password. And by reset, I mean it can force a reset on the WordPress password and cPanel password for that user. And this breaks a very obvious reinfection cycle where malware would be deployed over and over again to that account, generating tickets after another, and even could result in the loss of customer if it could not be fixed. So that's about Immunify 360. And then let's bring the two together because when you combine these two products, the benefits are pronounced because they complement each other so well. On the one hand, CloudLinux help optimize and improve performance. Imunify 360 makes sure that the sites you're optimizing stay clean. So it's speed and safety working together. CloudLinux help legacy software stay safe with hardened PHP, while Imunify 360 stops new threats with proactive defense. Again, together, your customers can run older versions securely, and they're still protected against new zero-day exploits. And the third one, if anything goes wrong, we always have to prepare for that. In those cases, Cloud Linux contains the blast radius with isolation, while Immunify 360 does the automatic detection, block, and cleanup. So together, problems are isolated and then resolved. All right. So next up is the real practical part. How to make the bundle work on VPS. And there are the two cases here, managed VPS and unmanaged VPS. Managed is the more straightforward for the bundle, so let's start with that. Here, the definition is that the hosting provider handles everything. So that means server setup, maintenance, security, performance. And the end customer pays a premium for this managed experience. These are higher price plans, and the bundle is built into the plan. We have the up to 55% off standard pricing licensing, and we did this discount to make it economically viable to absorb the bundle cost into the managed VPS plan pricing. Once you get on the VPS bundle program and add it to your VPS offer, you immediately have a sales advantage because you should list Cloud Linux and Imunify 360 on your plan features page. And we've heard this from multiple hosters that technically aver buyers, mostly agencies and developers that are migrating from other providers, they recognize these solutions and software by name and they specifically look for them. But of course, that's not true for everyone. So not every customer will know Cloud Linux or Imunify 360 by name. So pair the product names with the actual outcomes as well. Sites are isolated, security is automated, WordPress speed is optimized, and so on. This combination of recognized brands plus real benefits will help you close more sales on VPS. You, as a hoster, get the benefits of improved operational efficiency, reduced support workload, and a unified stack across your shared servers and VPS, as I've mentioned already. So it's the same tools, same training, same troubleshooting, same procedures. Huge improvement. To put a number on it, one hosting provider that we spoke to reported 70 to 80% less hacked website tickets on their VPS servers after rolling out the bundle. So that's a significant and very, very much measurable improvement in operational efficiency and support workload. Beyond this, you also have an additional opportunity to drive extra revenue through Accelerate WordPress Premium. And what these are WordPress optimization features like critical CSS generation, image optimization, object caching, CDN that can be monetized and sold to customers. And the clever feature here that we've built is called Smart Advice. It's a feature that analyzes each WordPress website's performance data, and it recommends specific improvements and settings only to customers who can actually benefit from them. Because we have noticed that not every customer needs object caching, not every customer needs CDN, but when they do, and we can prove with data that it would improve their site load speed and site performance, Smart Advice kicks in, checks if that feature is included in the customer's current plan, and if it's not, then it prompts the customer to upgrade. So it's essentially fully automated upsell for you based on actual data. You are in full control of the retail price, you can set it, and we have a WHMCS integration for automated billing. Everything I said here about Accelerate WordPress Premium is completely flexible. You can decide to include everything in all your plans, in some of your plans, upsell some of the features. So it's completely flexible, completely up to you. Additional way and potential to drive extra revenue. Next, moving on to unmanaged, which is the more complex case, but it's also a significant opportunity. On unmanaged, you have to price aggressively. That's obvious. There's no room to absorb the VPS bundle costs into the plans. Here, the play that you have is to offer the VPS bundle as a paid add-on. You can do it either during checkout. So the customer is selecting the operating system that they want, they're selecting the different specs, and then at the additional or add-on options, you offer them a chance to also get the VPS bundle, and you explain to them that it contains CloudLinux, it contains Imunify 360, and these are the benefit that it will bring to that customer. You can do this at checkout, or you can do this after the purchase as an upsell. It's up to you. You can even test both of them and see which one works better in your case. And when you set it up this way, your base plan pricing stays competitive, which you absolutely must preserve. And you're also opening up a new opportunity for additional revenue. With this setup, you leave the decision up to the customer. So here the customer can decide to purchase the VPS bundle. And if they do so, it's a win-win because they'll get a secure, more stable, faster environment for web hosting. This will mean less issues for them, and it will also mean fewer support tickets for you as a hoster. So that's why it's a win-win. Plus, happier customers also mean higher retention, so you can get more lifetime value out from every one of these customers. Then for customers who don't pick up the bundle, here's a practical angle. The first time they open a ticket about a hacked site or a performance problem or anything related to our solutions, your support team has a very, very natural conversation. So they can say something like, we have an add-on that prevents exactly this. Would you like to enable it? And that's a much easier upsell than a cold pitch out of the blue. So if they don't buy the bundle right away, you can recommend them the VPS bundle add-on through your support team. Or alternatively, in these cases, you can recommend them to upgrade to a managed VPS plan if you find that they are struggling with unmanaged. They thought that they could handle it, but they are not technical enough. So if you identify this, then you can move them to your managed VPS plans where you'll take full care of them. And by the way, you also have better margin on those plans. And multiple providers we have spoken to describe this exact conversion path from unmanaged to managed VPS as one of the main focus areas for their VPS strategy this year. Now, as a recap, let's bring it all together. There are really 5 profitability levers the VPS bundle gives you. First one is the direct licensing savings, up to 55% off compared to buying CloudLinux and Imunify 360 separately. This makes it economically viable to roll it out on managed plans. Second, improved operational efficiency because automated security and performance optimization mean less manual work for your team and fewer support tickets to handle. Third, there is the potential new revenue from accelerated WordPress premium features and upselling the bundle on unmanaged VPS. The fourth one is planned tiering, where I mean that the bundle gives you tangible value to build higher priced managed VPS tiers, and you can justify the price with real value behind it. And the fifth one is what I mentioned is the unmanaged to managed conversion path with better margin or towards better margin plans, fewer problematic tickets, and a natural upgrade story for customers who are struggling. Now, I'm not going to give an exact ROI number here because the math varies for each of you depending on your plan pricing and the customer mix. We've been thinking a lot about that, but that's really the truth, that it depends on so many factors that it's very hard to calculate. But the direction is very consistent across every provider we've spoken to. The levers all point to the same way: lower cost, more revenue opportunities, and better margins. If you want to work out the exact numbers for your situation, that's something we can help with, our team can help with, which is a good segue into the final slide. What does getting started look like? How does it work? And from our end, it's very, very straightforward and easy. First, reach out to your account manager, or if you don't have one or you're not sure who that is, send an email to sales@cloudlinux.com and we'll pick it up right there and then. We'll help you choose the right licensing tier for your setup and walk you through the different options. Then you deploy the VPS bundle on your servers, list the benefits on your plans, and based on what we've seen with other providers, you can go from program kickoff to live VPS plans in roughly about a month. That's not unusual that we've seen. You can find all the details at cloudlinux.com/VPS bundle. And we also have a form on that page that you can fill out if you want to join the program. That's another way to get started very quickly and easily. All right. And that's everything we wanted to cover today. So now we can get into questions. And we have just a few minutes left for questions. Please open up the Zoom Q&A bar. It's at the very bottom of your screen, and we'll happily answer them. One question that we often get, and it's worth covering here, is if there's any sort of minimum commitment for the VPS bundle. The good news is that there's no commitment. So you can get started with as few licenses as you need to, and then you can naturally grow as you roll it out or as you add it to more and more customers and servers. So we got a question on how to enable the website isolation on our existing Cloud Linux license. We do have a blog article on this on blog.cloudlinux.com. You can go check it out there, or I can send the direct link to you right after the webinar. It's very easy. It's just a couple of commands. We'll give a minute or two if there are any other questions.
In the meantime, you will receive today or tomorrow the latest, depending on the time zone you are. You will receive this entire hosting trends report along with the webinar recording as well, and all the details of the program. If you want to review or think about it, you will have all the details as well. So you can contact us whenever you want or you feel that you're ready as well.
Well, there are questions. What control panels are supported? I'm assuming that's also a question for website isolation. So with all new features, we are following the same pattern of starting with the large customer segments and going from there. Let me open up the article so I state factual things. One second. So we are rolling out website isolation in three phases. The first one was KGFS per website. It's now out. The second one is per site PHP selectors. That's also out in beta now. And the third one going to be LVE per site. And we are targeting that for the end of March, early April. Can I send this?
I've been sending the links already.
Oh, you've been sending the links already. Okay. Yeah, you're sending the links to the docs, and here's also the blog post. I will send it as well. So between these two resources, you should have all the information. And have you seen the supported control panels? So yeah, support starts with cPanel environments, and we are adding Plesk and DirectAdmin and the other ones in future releases. Ooh, there's a question on Xert WordPress CDN, how to check the CDN usage statistic using UI, as we know how to do that on CLI. Is that something you can take, Strand?
Right now, there is no actual interface in the UI for it. The CLI is the only way right now, but I can actually send you a link to the feature request. If there's enough people that request it, they'll actually add that feature in.
Thank you. And then there's another question on, does Max Cache have any known conflicts with Lightspeed, which is already running on my servers? So Max Cache is delivered as modules for Apache and Nginx, which means that it's not going to work with Lightspeed. That's a different setup. For unmanaged customers who open a ticket, do you have sales materials I can use for the conversion conversation? That's a very, very good question. I'm sure we have, or if we don't have anything up to date, we'll definitely create it and share it. So we'll take that internally within the marketing team and get back to you on that. Do you have documented case studies from Latin American providers who have implemented the bundle on VPS? I would need to check. I think so, but I don't want to state something that's not true. We'll check. Okay, since we are over time, just a few more seconds. Any other questions? Or if not, then thank you all for joining and thank you all for your time today. Everyone
Thank
enjoy the
you.
rest of your days. Yep. And for more information, go to cloudlinux.com/VPS-bundle. Thank you, everyone. Have a good one. Bye bye.